aside and said to the legislature, come up with an act that governs hemp. It then directs the department to adopt all the rules necessary to implement that and to ensure that the THC is not over 0.3. What that does then is if you're growing hemp under this program, it allows us to, if somebody calls in and says, does so-and-so have a registration in good standing here, it then protects you from any other concern about marijuana. It's two separate activities, and by keeping it separate, legally, it gives you all kinds of benefits. What these rules are designed to do is to physically keep it separate so that we can make that assurance. So if you've got that situation, or let's say you're growing marijuana commercially for recreational use and hemp, what you've got to do is address this cross-pollination issue in a way that accomplishes the goal of preventing, minimizing, and it's going to be a case-by-case basis. So the department, this rule allows the department to work with you to address your specific concerns. Does that help? And therefore, I'm not worried about discrimination because nobody's going to discriminate against you. They're going to work with you to let you do both activities if you can accomplish the purpose here so that you can do what you need and everybody else that has the registration retains their benefit of when a sheriff calls, because this has happened. Sheriff will call and say somebody called in and said so-and-so has a field of marijuana out there. And they call Department of Revenue, and Revenue says, well, you can't grow it outside. Oh, my God. They can call Dwayne and go, no, that's not marijuana. That's a registrant growing under the hemp program. Go away. You don't need to worry about it. And law enforcement has said, if it's really hemp, we don't care. There's both a representative from the Attorney General's office, not me. I represent the Department of Agriculture, get paid by the AG's office. The Attorney General himself has a representative on the committee who's very concerned about the law enforcement aspects. Stan Garnett, the DA from Boulder, is on there. And when we originally did these rules and these new rules, they are looking to have a program that they can rely on to not worry about hemp, because nobody is concerned about the drug potential of cannabis that's under 0.3. And so by keeping it separate in all these individual situations, we benefit everybody. So.
You've had your hand up for a long time.
I'm Cash, existing registrant. I just want to make one comment and I have a question. The only comment I'd make is just for new registration, new people that are registering. Our experience with the department over the last year has been really positive. We found that when there have been issues or we needed help, they've really been open to working with us and answering questions. It's never been a confrontational kind of relationship. I think that's a real testament to their desire for us to be successful. So I'll just share that comment. But my question actually it pertains to the lab testing. We do independent testing probably twice a month. We've been really frustrated by the inconsistencies that exist within external labs. Does the state have any guidelines for lab testing?
So this is kind of a separate issue, but I'd love to touch on it. So we do all our testing in-house in our own lab, as I mentioned. We don't take in external tests. We just don't have. It's not that large a volume. We really thought, and it appeared at the beginning of the year, that our registrants were sending stuff off to the medical marijuana labs, and that was going to work just fine until DOR sent them nice letters saying cease and desist, because in order to be in their program, they had to stay inside of the confines of registrants with there. So we realized that this created a significant problem for our registrants. I think, we're hoping that there gets to be more labs that are out there. Our protocols that we've developed in the lab, we have made available for anybody that's asked. Both the testing protocol, the putting the sample together on how we're doing it, and I certainly, Cash got the name of our person in the lab that I can put you in contact with. He's answered questions as well to people. So I'm hoping that next year is better. We understand, we've gotten to some places where we've done a sample test and they you know, do like this, and we get there because they say, you know, we don't really know because we haven't been able to find anybody. We appreciate the difficult situation you're in. That's why we've tried to work with people as best we can within the confines of the laws that we've been given.
Would the state make their lab available for independent testing?
We just don't have the volume. They do, I don't know how many other programs they do, but they do organics, they do animal feeds, they do so many other programs. And understand, some of those programs, pesticides, they've probably got a backlog of 3 or 4 months. When I send them a lab for a test, I tell them, hey, I need this in 2 weeks. It is not the way they normally do business. So to try to schedule samples from all our registrants just isn't something they're capable of doing. We are trying to find people, and you know, we're hoping that, first of all, we can work with the Department of Revenue and there can be some amendments to what they're doing. We're hoping that we've got some of our own registrants that have started to set up labs that we can start to work with. We don't foresee us being involved in a testing protocol, certifying labs, but we do want to feel like that. Boy, we've got a good relationship with our registrants. If somebody has got a lab set up, Grant, and we feel confident, he's been to the lab, he's seen the lab, or Dr. Sievers here's, you know, that we understand the process, that we can start to get that information. We start to work with some of the people that are actually, we feel, can facilitate the program and your needs as well.
You can accept private tests too.
We can accept private tests, but we, because the program is so new, we have wanted to see what the tests are themselves. Wendy?
Hi, Dwayne. Thank you very much. This is very detailed. I really appreciate it. And I have a similar concern to cash in that we're using multiple labs and looking at the results. And we see sometimes a 10% difference, which naturally can be trouble. So I would like to propose a solution to within the rulemaking. So 4.3.4, you say that sample testing no greater than 3 feet is
No louder. Do you want the microphone, Wendy?
Yeah, please.
So rule number 4.3.4, we say that a composite sample or sample testing no greater than 0.3 is conclusive.
It's on. So I would love to propose that you think about an appeal process, and that should somebody's sample test 0.4 or below the 1%, perhaps that we would be able to utilize a third party not associated with our company to get a test from them as well. Maybe even utilizing a portion of the sample that we give you so you can confirm it's the same sample. Because I know that analytical chemistry is still kind of being developed for this whole field, and we witnessed that by seeing the variation from all the testing places. So I just wanted to propose that, and I wanted to let everybody hear that, so hopefully there's a little bit of support for that. So thanks.
Absolutely. Yes.
We've got Keith Pershing. I've got 4 questions. It should be simple. Oh,
So people in the back can hear
okay,
you.
sure.
Thank you, Jeff.
So I got 4 questions I think should be simple answered, with simple answers. First of all, does indoor include hoop houses?
Yes.
Okay. Circle pivot, how much water does hemp require?
That's some of the information we don't know.
So research and development on that.
It is something that CSU has given us a general opinion, and we have registrants that are out there, but we have no means to collect it at this point in time.
Okay, then the other one is, how do I test my own? Is there equipment I can test my own to know what percentage?
Absolutely. We've got, so we have a number of registrants, including, I thought Ben Holmes, who was on our panel.
Yes.
He just is one of our advisory committee, I meant. He just bought his own machine as well. I think, Jan, you've bought a machine. I don't know.
Are they
Got a machine, so
expensive?
there's
Yes,
machines around.
yes.
Very
Estimate.
expensive. What are we looking at a cost on that?
15 plus thousand.
15,
GC.
45,000.
Plus,
Uh,
15 plus.
Last question is, and this might be a little silly, but what's the possibility of getting shot for growing hemp by a marijuana grower?
Well, so, yeah. So that last one is interesting, because when we decided we were gonna go out and look at registrants, and our inspectors were gonna go out, one of their concerns was, man, who are these people? Am I gonna get shot when I get out to this industrial hemp guy because he's growing marijuana? And the thing I said is, and I really want to appreciate everybody that called me the first month I was here, because I didn't know anybody, and I got to know a lot of you. And I could assure them that everybody that I talked to had been cordial, friendly, and that, boy, if I were in their shoes or in the inspector's shoes, I wouldn't be so much worried about somebody that gave me their GPS coordinates where their property was at and their cannabis was at, no matter what it was, if it wasn't determined yet. So I went along with some ride-alongs with some of the inspectors. I can tell you, it has not been a concern
Yet.
yet. We had a few hostile places where, but nothing that I would, the inspectors that came back have said, boy, we got to make sure this person can't get into the program because they were so hostile and it was threatening to us to be there. And I would tell you that even the marijuana people that have called and are upset that hemp is there, after talking with them a while, I generally encourage them to talk to their neighbor instead of confronting them through me or somebody else. Talk to, because you both have something at risk here. Find ways to work together. Maybe that's if they're doing indoor marijuana, maybe you participate in a way that the pollen from yours doesn't get in theirs and the pollen from theirs doesn't get out and get into yours. I think there's ways where if you talk together, I haven't really seen it to be a major issue. I will tell you that my calls that have been pointed have been more from marijuana people, because I'm not protecting them from you, than I've gotten from anybody.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna get. You're probably used to a microphone. I don't know how to do this.
Yes, I am. I'm Bob Sievers. I've taught analytical chemistry at the University of Colorado Boulder since 1975, 39 years. For whatever I've done in life, I guess chromatography is my specialty. I've written books on it. There's a sensitive issue that I really have to bring to your attention, and that is that while gas chromatography, which is what I cut my eye teeth on, is less expensive, is fast, it's very tempting to use it as the authoritative final reference analysis, but it's just inaccurate with respect to things that are thermally unstable. Now, what's thermally stable and what's not thermally stable in hemp? The terpenoids, which give you most of the fragrance, are generally speaking easier to analyze because they're more volatile and they vaporize at lower temperatures, and therefore they never reach the high temperatures that you have in a gas chromatography column, which is perforce for less volatile substances. What you have to do is heat the column. Now, how this